So today we are looking at how you can sell a car dealership in the UK. So if you have a car dealership in the UK and you want to sell it, this is a 10-point checklist. These come from experience. The biggest transaction, the biggest M&A activity I did with the car dealers was abroad. It was 120 million euro, so it was quite a substantial chain of dealerships, and it was quite successful actually. So I have a bit of experience in that regard, and in this sector. I've been doing this for quite a long time. There's no one way to do this. These are just some ideas that I have for you, and that I will hope help you in your endeavors of selling a business, whether you want to sell a portion of the car dealers, whether you want to pass it on, whether you want to sell shares, whether you want to sell the assets, whether you want to buy another car dealership. These all apply to mergers and acquisitions within this industry. The first point I want to make very, very clear, and this is something I want you to understand, is that we aren't exploring the fire sale of cars. Your cars are assets, and there is an argument whereby if things didn't go well for you, and this is not something I wish, obviously, you could technically liquidate, sell those assets, sell those cars, 20 Nissan Micras or whatever, and then you recuperate some money, and that's how you could potentially close the business. But this is not the video for that. If you want to liquidate your business, or if push came to shove, you could technically do that. You could liquidate the business, and that's a realistic way to winding up a car dealership in the UK. But we aren't doing that. We are exploring the sale of the actual business, of the actual cash flow the business makes, really. So the first thing I want you to understand is your market and where you are, where you sit. There's always going to be massive saturation in your industry. You are always going to compete with other people. People are finicky. Your customer is always finicky. They always go to 2, 3, 4 places to compare and contrast. And so these are some things for you to consider. Location. Where is your location? Your car dealerships around you. Do you guys have any good synergies between you? Do you have the footfall? Do you have the numbers that make a car dealers attractive, or are you just like a one-man band in a car dealership in a warehouse or in an outdoor space in the middle of nowhere with no other car dealerships benefiting from that network effect? And then there's another thing, which is Auto Trader and your niche. I have a car dealership just around my house here, and it's a pretty nice area, and the cars they sell are G-Wagons and Jaguars and Ferraris and Porsches. And despite it being a pretty nice area, I'm not surrounded by millionaires, so I am pretty certain that maybe 90 to 95% of their business is outsourced online to Auto Trader or the car dealerships online. I am fully aware that Auto Trader will eat into your margins, so you need to come to grips with that. And so what split is between presential, footfall and online? How is that dynamic? And for you to present those numbers to the person who would be interested in your business. Another thing for you to consider is that this is can be a very cyclical business, and this could go with the credit cycle or the bank interest rates, for example, from the Bank of England. So big ticket items such as a new car or a second-hand car, which is quite pricey, people tend to splurge and tend to spend a bit more when sentiment is very good, when interest rates might be lower than they have been in the past couple of years. They go with sentiment, they go with their job, how people are feeling. So there are cycles to this. It's a bit like the housing sector. When everyone is doing amazing, everyone is buying houses, everyone buys cars, everyone buys this, everyone buys that. When the belt tightens, that's when people don't really go out as much, don't buy cars, don't buy houses. So where are you in the cycle? You can never see or say whether you are at the bottom of the top, because no one can pick bottoms or tops of markets. But if it's a cyclical business, are you like down here somewhere or are you up here somewhere? I don't know. It's a lot better for you to sell at the top of the market or as close to the top of the market as it is for you to sell when things aren't going well. And so with that, let's go into the 10 point checklist. The first one is, do you know your numbers? Do you know your gross margin? Do you know your net margin? Do you know your VAT liability for vans, for example? What is the split? Do you apply VAT? Do you not apply VAT? All these things do plays a factor. And you knowing your numbers, this is not your numbers per car, because in some cars you're going to lose money, in some cars you're going to make a lot of money, on some cars you're probably going to be even. But do you know your numbers month to month? Do you produce monthly management accounts, for example? Those are very, very interesting and very useful for you and for me. If I were to buy your business, it's something I would want to see on a monthly basis. So know your numbers. What's your gross margin? What's your net margin? Do you have any VAT liabilities? Do you know how healthy your balance sheet is? Do you know how profitable you are? Do you know the value of your assets? Do you know the value of your liabilities? Do you know, all that sort of good stuff? Any bounce back loans, any short-term liabilities, any suppliers, any creditors? These are all things for you to study. The second one is, do you make any money? Are you profitable? And if you are profitable, how profitable are you? If you are thinking about selling your business and you don't want to run your business, do you think someone else is going to pay you for the privilege or for the pleasure of losing money? So if you make any money, you need to be making money for me to be attracted to your business. And so a money-making machine, a money-making car dealership is a healthy business, and that's what people want. People want a healthy business. People don't want to buy your pains and your headaches. They want to buy your nice life maybe, and they want to buy a cash flow so they can live off of something. So do you make any money? How much? And what is that dynamic around the money you make? How do you take money out? How you draw the money? Do you pay yourself a salary? Do you pay yourself through dividends? And do you have employees? All that sort of stuff really does play a factor. 3, do you have a system for recruiting and training staff, your salespeople, quickly? Staff turnover might be high sometimes in businesses like yours. For others, not so much. If your salespeople are well compensated, if they are good, they can make a very nice life. They can make a very nice living. They can make some really good money. And so if you have a quite high staff turnover, or your staff turns maybe a third every year, how do you train those people? How can I be trained if I were to become the owner of your business? How do car sales work? What is your experience? I'm not likely to give you £1 million, £5 million, or whatever the value of your business is, if I cannot sell like you sell. If you see someone and you've been doing this for 20 years or 15 years or whatever, and now you want to sell, I need to learn from you. So how can I learn from you? How can anybody learn from you? How can your staff learn from you? So if you have a system for replacing people and providing them with the knowledge they need, that's really attractive for any potential buyer. So that's something quite important. These are key whenever it comes to selling cars. A lot of the people you will sell cars to aren't very sophisticated. I don't really know all that much about cars. I know a little bit about cars, but I don't know all that much. So by you knowing all about the cars and all about the diesel and the petrol and what's better and what's not better and timing chains and all that good stuff, you will be able to set yourself apart. So if you can pass down that knowledge to anyone who could potentially run your business, that's very, very attractive in my opinion. Number 4 is, do you have, and this is hard for your industry, I'm aware of this, do you have any high margin, high value offers? Do you have a system where you come up with offers that give you better profits? Not all your customers will be created the same. In maybe 95% of the case, customers will come to you, they will want the cheapest possible option or a deal on something, and that's it. They've compared the market, and for whatever reason they want that brand new Mercedes, they want that second-hand Ferrari, or they want that 15-year-old Fiat Punto. It doesn't really matter what car is it, but there will be maybe 5% of your customers who would potentially be seduced by something else, and that something else, I don't know what that is, whether that's insurance, whether that's a follow-up plan for them and for their car. It could be new windscreen wipers and a new, I don't know, whatever that might be. I know that in the UK you have to give the cars in very good nick. And so what else could you sell me if I were to want to splurge on a second-hand car or a new car that you could potentially sell me? Coming up with those packages that are very profitable, high margin, high value offers are very, very attractive to any potential buyers. And this is something that whenever you talk to people who you want to sell your business to, you can say, oh, you could do so much with this business. You could do this, 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 and this, and you could do this, and you could do this. And what you're not thinking is that, well, if that's what you think, why haven't you done it already? Why aren't you profiting from it? Why are you telling me? You should be telling yourself and getting on with it. So if you're not doing it, maybe do it before you sell your business. So that's important. Number 5 is your ability to run the business or the dealership is not the most important thing when you are selling a business. It's the actual money you make within the business. So again, your headaches and you not sleeping well because you have to meet payroll tomorrow is not why people buy a business. They want to buy the profits of the business. And so by you running the business, you aren't doing yourself a very good service when it comes to the sale of your business. So is there a process where you can actively remove yourself from the business, or whether you can give people more responsibility within the business and that is definitely an asset, because if I come as an external and I want to buy your business, and Martin or Maggie has 50% of responsibilities, I only now have to learn the rest, the other 50% of responsibilities, because Maggie will know everything about the business. And so if you know 100% of the business, that's a very steep learning curve. But if I only have to learn so much about the business and everything else I'm going to learn from other people, that's really, really attractive in my opinion whenever you are selling your business. Number 6 is CapEx, any capital expenditures. Does anything need replacing, and when? My understanding with car dealerships is that every now and then you will have a car running into something or breaking something, and those are big CapEx operations, but they don't really occur all that often. You mainly will have a warehouse or a depot or a parking spaces where you park your cars, and that doesn't really require all that much upkeep whenever we talk about big capex projects. But if you are a high-end dealer, for example, I went to buy a pretty nice car a few years ago, and these guys had little fountains and different things, and one of the sculptures sort of like needed replacing, and I thought that's going to cost quite a lot of money, so if those things need to be replaced, when do they need to be replaced? That's something that someone looking at your business will be able to look at as well. So yeah, number 7 is arguably one of the biggest things, and this is that your expertise needs to be automatized. So this is pretty interesting. So I sold a car a few years ago, and I was pretty interested in the character of the guy who came to buy it from me. He hopped on a train, and from York, I think, I live near Newcastle, and after liaising with me via pictures and asking me a few questions, he came to me and met me there, paid me via bank transfer, and off he went with my very nice car that I wanted to get rid of. And so whenever I was asking him what he did, he was pretty itinerant. He was going to do that 2 more times that day. And so you only need someone who doesn't really know how that world works to be like, that's risky. I wouldn't know where to start. So hold on, you jump on a train and you go and meet someone you've never met before, you pay him instantly, and you drive off with that car. You don't know where that car has been, you don't know anything about that car, yet you make an offer, and you might have a range or a good idea of where you can market that car for, but that's a pretty high skilled skill, if you know what I mean. That's pretty risky if you aren't in that world. And so your expertise needs to be for everyone. How could anyone, or how you could write a manual on how you do it? Because if that were me, I wouldn't know where to start. And if you change your niche, for example, instead of selling Ferraris, you sell Fiat Puntos, the learning curves will be completely different as well. So how could you make your expertise available to anyone and not just to you? Because as I said, it was pretty risky in my eyes. And so that's another thing you should consider. Number 8 has to do with lease and your lease considerations. Are there any breakup clauses? Does the business support the lease comfortably? Do you have any covenants, any repairs and maintenance that need to be put forward by you? And do you have to return the property to form? And this is something I harp on all the time with location businesses. Let's say you convert a warehouse to a car dealership, and I am the landlord, and in a covenant in the lease I write that warehouse needs to be returned to form. Now you have spent £250,000 in air conditioning and wonderful wood panels, and everything looks incredible. You would be under contractual obligation to return that property to form. So there would be for you a dilapidations bill, and that dilapidations bill might be 50k, it might be £100,000, it might be, I don't know, whatever the figure might be. There is a very high probability that you haven't thought about this, because no one does until it happens to them, and this is something we are experts at. And so if there are any dilapidations bills, you need to examine the lease, and you need to understand the lease, and you need to read that lease a few times, just like I do with my commercial properties and just like I do with my businesses. So do you have to return the property to form? Do you know what's going on within your lease? Number 9 is how many car dealerships around you are up for sale. Sometimes, again, in bottoms of market, then that's when you get everyone wanting to sell. People want to sell when they need it, and they need it when no one else has any money and when everyone else wants to sell. And if everyone wants to sell at the same time, you aren't going to be as likely to sell as if everyone has a lot of money and then you want to sell and your business is very attractive because money is flush. If money is not flush, you might be in a bit of a pickle. But, bear that in mind. How many other car dealerships around you, say 15-20 mile radius, are up for sale? That's going to be your competition whenever you look at businesses for sale. And then number 10 is who could be your perfect buyer? Who's your perfect buyer? Is your perfect buyer Jaguar Land Rover? Is your perfect buyer someone like me? Is your perfect buyer someone just like yourself? Someone like yourself. If you can come up with your perfect buyer, your customer avatar, you would call this in marketing, then you would be more inclined to tapping into that person or tapping into that sort of profile instead of listing the business with any broker, and that just goes out to anybody, and anybody is not going to buy your business. Your business needs to be bought by a very specific profile, and so you need to know who that profile is. And if you know who that profile is, you could maybe approach them and save yourself thousands of pounds in the process. And that's something pretty interesting if you are into saving money, as I am sure you are. And so the first thing you would need to do before you want to sell your business or before you consider any of these things is put a value, put a price on your business. How much is your business worth? And in order to do that, we can help. So comment down below, you can contact us there, and we would be able to help, whether you are looking at value in the business, how much is your company worth, truly worth, and if you require any ongoing consultations regarding the sale of your business, you could hire me to do that too, and I'd be delighted to help. So yeah, let me know in the comments, and all the contact details are below. I'll see you in the next one.